gonna swim, bike, and run. In the corner sun, we're gonna swim, bike, and run. In the corner sun, 2021.
Thank you, Poncho Man. Welcome to everybody to Breakfast with Bob, not quite Kona edition. My name is Bob Babbitt. We're brought to you by Hoka One One, by Master Spas, Clash USA, UCAN Hyper Ice, Premium Plus Sports, Form Smart Swim Goggles, and of course, our Challenged Athletes Foundation. We had in 2021, we sent out 3,038 grants, totaling $5.1 million to keep challenged athletes in the game of life through sport. Our next guest, she's known as Ultra Nana. She set a world record for the 60-plus division of an Ultraman distance event in Australia earlier this year. And her name is Rosie Spicer. Rosie, how are you?
Good, thank you, Bob. Glad to be here.
Great to have you. And so you didn't grow up as being athletic at all, right?
Not really, no, just the general sports that you play at school or basketball or whatever. But I was pretty much a smoker from the age of 12. And if I played sport half-time, I'd always have a cigarette. Never really took it terribly serious. In fact, I used to think that if sport interfered with my smoking, I'd give up sport.
Wow. So what turned it around for you?
Well, I guess 18 years ago, my father passed away and my mother had died 6 years earlier, and both of them were heavy smokers. And my twin granddaughters were born, and I kind of figured that I'd like to see them grow up. And my mother was my age when she died, 62. And also Dad was 70, so pretty young. So I wanted to change my lifestyle so that I could actually watch my granddaughters grow up and be part of their life, as well as my own daughter and sons. And so I thought, well, I'll stop smoking. And I was worried about getting fat. So I started to run a little bit, which was the outside of our house. I was too embarrassed to go anywhere to run.
So wait, you'd stay basically run around your house so the people didn't see you?
Outside, yep, yes. I'm not a very good runner and I don't have a great style. So, yeah, I was a bit embarrassed about it. So I remember 7 laps around our yard was a kilometre or kilometre. And so I remember doing the first one and I thought, oh, I'm not be able to do this. I'm so exhausted. I was sweating, but I kept going, mainly because I didn't want to smoke again. And and then Trout already, my partner was already doing a little bit of triathlon stuff. And I guess maybe because he was so involved in it, and I used to volunteer at the races, the Ironman and stuff, and I thought, I could probably nearly do something like that. And I remember he put me into this little triathlon, which is down the road, and it was a 300-meter swim and a 10-kilometer bike ride and a 3-kilometer run. And with the swim, I found the shallow part of the lake, so I pretended to swim because I couldn't swim. And then I got out and I rode the bike, and I had I thought I'd try clip-ons. Anyway, I came back and I forgot to clip out because I didn't even think about it, and I just fell over. And I guess I was so embarrassed, so exhausted. I said to Trout, you do the run. So he went and did the 3K run part for me. And I got in the car and I thought, no, there's no way I can do this stuff. It's just too exhausting. I ended up going to sleep in the car and thought, nah, that's crazy. But I guess, it's the encouragement that Trout gave me and the idea of, again, not putting on any weight and trying to get fitter. So I just persevered and a little bit more and a bit more. I remember doing a race in Melbourne, another small sprint one.
Yeah.
We went down to the place in Elwood Beach in Melbourne, and we went the day before, and Trout took me to the water, and it took me probably 2 hours to have the courage to put my face in the water and swim. I was so scared. It's all right in the pool, but yeah, in the ocean's a different thing. And I remember the race day, I waited till everyone gone. Then I jumped in the water, and I actually made it. And I was so excited. I thought, wow, I made the swim. I think that was 300 meters. And then, yeah, I did the rest, riding and the running. And I came in last, and I was so excited. I was jumping up and down, and the guy said, "You haven't won, darling." I said, "Yes, I have."
Yeah,
I actually made it.
Yeah, that's all that matters. And
So I
ocean
guess that
sort of
little
scares
bit,
you, huh?
oh, it's what's under there, the critters. You don't know
Exactly.
what's there. So, not that sharks are going to go in 2 meters of water, but it's still scary.
Yeah, absolutely.
So,
So you're now had Trout been involved with the sport for a while, or was he sort of getting into it sort of the same time you were?
no, he'd been involved for a couple of years already. He'd already done probably 3-4 Ironman, and and he just changed his lifestyle too. He stopped drinking, and he was never a smoker, but his lifestyle wasn't that great. So yeah, he decided to change his lifestyle too. And I guess watching him get better and healthier kind of grew on me as well. And yeah, we ended up doing the same sort of stuff and go to bed at the same time and get up at the same time. So it's been very good for us as well. We've been together for 30 years, and I had to wait till he was legal, till he was 21, because he's 12 years younger than I am. So yeah, it's nice to be able to share everything with him. And plus, he looks after my bike. He gets everything organized for a race. I just rock up. It's great. He's very good.
Wow. So you've done how many Ironmans now?
I've competed 25 Ironman, 3 of them being Kona, and New Zealand and Busselton as well. We'd like to go overseas, but it's a bit impossible at the moment.
Yeah.
I was going to do the Arizona Ultraman last year. It was their first one that they were going to have. And 3 days before we were leaving, of course, COVID hit, and that was the end of that. So I was so upset because, I'd trained so hard for Arizona that Trout and I jumped in the car before everything locked up, and we drove to Noosa, and I did my own Ultraman up there by myself. I actually won it too. I was the only one in it.
So in March 2010, you hit a wombat on a training ride.
Yeah.
You broke your ribs, shoulder, vertebrae, brain injury. I mean, you're lucky you're alive. What the hell is a wombat, by the way?
Those great big puffs that you put your feet on in front of a TV, when you're sitting on the couch. It's about the size of one of those, and it's as solid as a rock. And he just bolted out in front of me. I was actually going down a hill. We were probably doing about 35 kilometers an hour. Wow. And he's just collected me, and I've just somersaulted over and bounced off the road, and did some major damage. They told me I'd never ride again, and I couldn't drive for over a year. I couldn't even watch television because of my head injury. It was pretty horrible. Couldn't have a drink. No, that was bad. Yeah. Not even.
How hard was it to get back on the bike? That can be scary.
It was. And the first ride I had was out to where the wombat got me, and that was a bit nerve-wracking, but I never see anything as stopping me from having a go. I don't let things get in the way. Like So I rode out there and thought, right, I can do this. And I did it. And I rode past where the wombat had got me. And in fact, the blood was still on the road. It was
Oh my
amazing.
God.
Yeah.
Your blood was still on the road from where you got.
Yeah. There was quite substantial amount, so that it actually stained a bit of the road. Yeah, it was amazing. And that was 12 months on. Well, actually not quite 12. I did in 11 months. The doctors didn't know about it.
You were in rehab for 8 months.
Yeah.
And you guys also dealt with, Trout being diagnosed with leukemia.
Oh, yeah.
And that was 8 years ago, and 8 or so. Yeah. How, obviously you guys are a couple. When things like that happen, it affects both of you. How hard was that for you guys to deal with as a couple?
Well, to start with, my father had died of leukemia. So Trout comes home and he says, I've got leukemia. And my first thought was that his outcome's going to be the same as what my father's was. But luckily with Trout, he's so in tune with his body that he was able to recognize there was something wrong with himself. So he was able to get it at its very early stage. So medication has kept him alive. Whereas my father, he went through the chemo and everything and then unfortunately didn't take for it. But it's made Trout and I really appreciate us more, right. And I think, it's always the case that something bad has to happen for somebody to wake up and realize what you've got. So, we're a good pair, like I've got my issues, he's got his issues, and we care for each other. We're good friends, good mates.
So since then, he's done 8 Ultramans and 20 Ironmans. So obviously,
actually, he's done 30 Ironmans.
30 Ironmans now.
Yeah, he's a bit addicted. When you think of every race that you do, how much it costs.
Yeah,
man, we'd be so rich. But anyway,
now you're richer doing the races.
Yeah, we are. So he's. I crewed for him, and I remember crewing all his Ultraman races, and because of his cancer too, it doesn't always go accordingly to plan, and he does get sick. It does wear him out a lot more, although he's too proud to say it half the time. But I can see when he's struggling, but he doesn't give up either. So watching him sort of go through all this pain, I thought, there's no way ever I would consider doing one of these races. So I really don't know how I ended up doing one. Must have been a weak moment where he got me and said, come on, Rose, you can do this. And I'm really, really grateful that I was able to do it. I was grateful that he was my crew. He got me through the whole lot and encouraged me, made me feel great all the way through. And then, when you finish an Ultraman compared to an Ironman, that there's a bigger achievement. There's a greater feeling of like, oh my God.
Yeah.
When you do an Ironman, that in itself is just incredible. But doing an Ultraman, like you really put yourself out there. It's hard work, but with everyone around you, the crew around you, it makes it easier. It makes it more fun. It makes it doable, and just that support. It's like they carry you as much as you doing the sport itself, like doing the race itself. So it's don't know if I'd rush back and do another one. I think this one was pretty special. I don't want to ruin it. What happens if I don't do another world-breaking record thing?
What's fascinating to me is you break the Ultraman distance record for 60 plus by 2.5 hours.
I know. Amazing, huh? That's just wow.
Amazing, right?
Wow.
And for our viewers who know what the Ironman distance is, you start out with a 10K swim. And for somebody who didn't want to put her face in the water, to do a 10K swim is ridiculous. And then followed by a 90-mile bike ride. followed
Yep.
by the next day, 171-mile bike ride, then a double marathon on the third day. And you'd crewed, how many times have you crewed for trout doing this thing?
Eight times.
8 times.
Four, I think 6 of them were in Hawaii.
Yep.
So that's a tough race.
Did the fact that you'd crewed before, did that help you get through this?
Yes, it does. Because I think this sport really, you have to convince yourself that you can do something. So once you've done something in your head, you know that you can actually achieve it. Do you know what I mean? Like,
yep.
When you know you can do it, like the swimming 10Ks, for example, when I started, I couldn't swim 5 meters. And over a period of time, you build up and you build up. And then, 4Ks is a long way. But then when you sort of add that little bit more in training, and all of a sudden you're swimming 10Ks and you think, that wasn't so bad. So now in my head, I know I'm capable of doing 10-kilometer swims. The same with the bike ride, like you train or you ride, 200-300 kilometers, and you think, yeah, that's pretty good. It's easy. Running, I've done the 50, 60K training. I never thought I'd ever get to 84, but now I've done the whole lot. I know that I can actually achieve it. So watching trout in all those races do the same distance over the same times, I understood it. I'm sorry, do I make any sense?
Yes, you do. You understood it because you'd been there watching it before. And you
Yes.
could see what he was going through, the roller coaster of emotions. Yep. And
Yep.
your job as a crew person is to keep them level and get them to
Yes.
that, get them to understand they can get through it.
Yep.
Did it become, the fact that you'd been a crew obviously helped you, but how important, when I look at the difference between doing an Ironman, it's really, yes, you have aid stations, etc., but the bond between you and the crew is so amazing in an ultra distance triathlon. Talk a little bit about just that, because it wasn't just trout, you had other folks as well, right?
Yeah, I've got to tell you this wonderful little bit of story. Our neighbour across the road, Craig, he'd never seen any of the racing at all. So we said, come along and be our driver. Yeah, okay, he says. So he came. Anyway, he got right into it. He sort of tried to work out how to handle the bottle out so that, I could ride past and grab it. A few times he dropped it and got all, nervy. Anyway, this one particular time, I was coming down a fairly steep bit of hill. And every time I needed a drink, I would hold the bottle up and sort of, like this. And I wasn't expecting to get a drink at that stop, but I thought the next one, they'll give it to me. Anyway, Trout saw that I needed a drink. He's jumped out of the passenger side. He's opened up the back door. He's grabbed a bottle out of the cooler. He's hurled the bottle over the car. And Craig, who was standing at the front of the car, just looking, he's yelled out, bottle, and Craig's caught it, and he's put his arm straight out as I've gone past and I've grabbed it. And it was like, yes, how good was that? And they were so ecstatic, like, yeah, we're top team. But yeah, he's at one stage, Craig gave me a little bit of donut, but he forgot to unwrap it. And it was sort of like, yeah, I can't handle that one. So I threw it. And so Trout's yelling at, you've got to have it unwrapped, Craig. She can't be unwrapping something on the bike. And he is so excited, Craig, that now he is training and he's going to do the half Ironman in Busselton this year. He's bought himself a bike. He's got a wind trainer. My coach is coaching him, and he is so excited. So you're talking about how the crew gets involved. Well, Craig has definitely got involved. And I've had another girlfriend and a friend from who is Dave Williamson from, he came to crew for me and he ran most of the run with me, and he is just spectacular. He's just so kind, thoughtful. And there was a couple of times I really struggled up some of the steep hills on the run, and he'd put his little finger just in my back. He said, pretend I'm pushing you. It worked. So you're right. The crew is so important because without them, obviously, you're not going to be able to do it. But the companionship and the friendship and the thoughtfulness that goes into a crew to help you through your dark moments, tough time, because it's not all that easy. Having them there just makes the day go. You know, they talk to you, they put you in a better mindset. Trout's so on top of it, right, she needs a gel at such and such, she needs Panadol at such and such, she needs water, she needs this, she needs that. So, everybody's working behind the scenes and and they get you through. So I was very lucky.
You got two 18-year-old granddaughters, twins,
yes.
right?
Yes.
What do they think about crazy Nana and the fact that she's going off and doing these 3-day triathlon things?
Well, I've got one granddaughter living with us now, and she came up a year ago, and she works in the local area, and she has become a little mountain bike fiend. And she gets up at like before me sometimes at 5 a.m. to go to the gym. She's really embraced fitness. And when she found out that I'd broken the world record, and she just bragged to everybody in town, and everyone's congratulating, oh, your Nana's this, your Nana's that. So she's super proud, really proud. And that makes me feel good that she's inspired as well.
So Trout was telling me that you used to have a septic tank pumping business. That's not something that you see a lot, especially for women.
I did it for 13 years. I drove a truck, and I had this sort of big tank on the back with a little petrol motor and great big hoses. And I used to wear shorts, but I'd always look nice. I made sure that I looked still feminine. And I would turn up at people's places, and they'd go, "Where's the man?" And I thought, I'll do it. So I'd get out there, and my father made me this plunger, which like a giant potato masher, and I'd lift the lid off, and there was always a crust. So you'd have to sort of break through the crust and then stir it all up and make it like gravy. And then you'd throw the hose in and suck it all up. And it was good. That money that I used to get for that put my children through school, and they were able to, have skiing lessons or, go skiing or go on school trips. So it's big good fun. The kids would go, "Mum's home," because I could smell. It was pretty bad. So yeah.
So now now that you've
on.
done one Ultraman, do you want to do more, or is that plenty?
Well, it's I'm not sure. Next year, Trout and I are hoping to ride from the Gulf of Carpentaria down to the peninsula in South Australia. It's called the Gulf to the Gulf on the mountain bikes.
Yeah.
So that's in the middle of next year. So that will take about a month. It's about 3,000 kilometres of riding. It's an organised trip, so someone puts your tents out for you and everything. So you just got to pedal. Oh yeah, it's great. So I think I'd like to sort of go in that direction, do some, some fun stuff with Trout. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, if someone goes and breaks my world record, I'll have to go back and have another go.
So
we'll just see.
When you go to Ironman events, I was seeing that a lot of times you'll go to the Ironman events and win your division by hours. Is it?
Yes.
Is it when you go to those events and when there's not going to be much competition? Is that hard, or would you rather have some people pushing you?
To be honest, I never think that I'm going to win by that much. Those a couple of times that I did that was surprising. But I'm sure there'll be other people who will come up in the age groups that'll do better. And yeah, I don't expect any to win by that much. I think that everybody's capable of doing, the same sort of distance and same times. And yeah, I don't know. I just don't think that I'm that great. You know what I mean? Like that was lucky that I won by that much.
What's cool is the fact that you're in your early 60s and you didn't get into this stuff till you were like 45. So this is still fairly new, right?
Well,
A lot of people might have been burnt out by now, but you're sort of just getting going.
I would like to be the oldest lady in Australia doing triathlons.
That's the goal.
Yeah, I'm sorry that Port Macquarie hasn't been on for the last 2 years, because that I was actually training right now for Port Macquarie, but that's just since been cancelled. So now we're going for Busselton this year, and then maybe New Zealand. That's if we can all travel. So yeah, I'd like to keep going.
Good.
Just because I can.
So when people see 30 hours and 25 minutes, that's a long time to be exercising over 3 days. Right?
I know.
You look at that yourself and go, I can't believe I was out there for 30 hours.
It's true. Like even when you do an Ironman, where I work, I work in aged care, and a lot of my best friends are 90 plus. And I tell them, from the time you get up in the morning to the time you go to bed at night, that's the whole time I'm exercising, and they think that's insane. You need to slow down, dear. You'll wear yourself out. But I just tell them I enjoy it. And I don't push that hard that I hurt. I actually just do as I feel.
Sure.
So I'm not one of these people that need to be in pain to actually achieve anything. I just do it comfortably. And I think that's the goal.
Is there a moment or two from your athletic career that sticks out to you as being your favorites?
Well, there is one, Kona. The last time I raced in Kona, I was actually doing very well. I was probably coming 8th in my age group out of the swim and then the bike. I can ride a bike reasonably well. And on the run, I felt fantastic, and I was keeping up that momentum, and I was looking like I might be in the top 10, which I was so pleased about. But about 20 kilometers into the run, my back started to spasm, and there was absolutely nothing I could do to actually feel comfortable. So the only way I could feel good was to bend over. So I looked like one of these little Japanese ladies. And Trat sort of caught up with me on the run, and he tried to help me. I was on the ground stretching, and nothing could stop my back from being in pain. So for the last 22 kilometers of the run, I ran bent all the way to the finish line. And the paramedics were following me. They were saying, "Oh, you need to stand up straight and stretch." I went, "Yeah, if I could, I would." And it was pouring rain. It was not a very good day. Anyway, so I remember going through to the finish line thinking, thank goodness. And Crowie was in the finish chute, and he was handing out, gifts to people to sort of keep the crowd going, waiting for all those poor old athletes to come through. And I remember running past him, bent over like this. And somebody actually filmed Crowie in the finish chute, and there's me coming past him. And the look on Crowie's face is like, "Oh, you poor old thing." Then I got to the finish line, and I remember Pete going, "Come on, Rosie, you can get over the finish line." I virtually fell over. So you are an Iron Woman. Yeah. So and then I ended up on the massage table, and the guy fixed me up really well. But I didn't want to give up. I'd come so far, and it was Kona. It's such a special place to race. And I just thought I could pull off and stop, but I would always be really mad thinking, I didn't finish, I didn't try. So That was probably my toughest race, but my most rewarding, I would say,
I love it.
because I didn't give up. So
That's
I think
awesome.
that's, yeah, you need to actually have a good mindset to see what's important to you. And yeah, it hurt, but I finished.
Love it.
And it's only a few hours out of your life, really.
True. Yeah.
You know, the next day you can sit back and go, yeah, that wasn't great, but I finished.
Because otherwise
Yeah.
you carry that with you if you drop out. You just like it bothers you forever.
Yep, exactly. My first Ironman I did in 14 hours and 40 minutes. That was my very first one. And I remember a kilometre from the finish line, I could hear Pete going, you are an Ironman, rah, rah, the music and everything. And I started to cry, and I made it over the finish line, and I thought, wow, what have I just done? And I was crying my eyes out thinking, jeepers, that's amazing. And now I've got 25 more and plus an Ultraman. I think, wow, look what I've done.
Look what
And,
you've done.
Yeah,
Rosie,
I know.
Thank you, Rosie, for taking so much time. A pleasure to chat with you. I always enjoy seeing you and Trout in Kona for Ultraman. Always one of my favorite
well,
to hang out with.
I think the last time I saw you was when we had a hug at the what was it, when we had the yogurt and fruit bowl.
Yeah, exactly. Yep.
That was nice. But I do hope we get to go there again. I really miss Hawaii.
Oh, me too. I was bummed they just canceled the World Championships, and hopefully we'll be able to, because Ultraman is so spread out and so few people, hopefully we'll be able to have that.
Yeah, well, yeah, let's hope so too. And I'm sure they miss having everyone there as well.
Big time.
Yeah.
Rosie, give my best to Trout. Always a pleasure to chat with you, and watch out for wombats. Those things are bad. Keep those things away.
This Chinese lady wrote a story about me, because every week I've had interviews, podcasts and whatever. And she wrote a story and she said that Rosie Spicer hit a koala on her training run. And I was like, I didn't hit a koala, I hit a wombat. Anyway, they must think I'm terrible hitting a koala. Anyway, a koala, just a nice little drop with it, a little furry thing. Yeah.
Exactly. Rosie, you're the best. Keep hammering out there. Give my best to Trout again. It's Breakfast with Bob. My name is Bob Babbitt. Thanks everybody for tuning in. We'll catch you next time.
Bye, Bob.
Bye, Rosie. See ya.
Bye. See ya.